Discover the incredible truth: they sold my late husband's Rolex for a luxury trip. What was revealed next will shock you. Claire Morgan stared in disbelief at the empty space on the mantelpiece where John's gleaming Rolex used to be. The last vestige of the life they built together, a symbol of love, sacrifice, and family dreams gone. Her chest tightened painfully as memories flooded back, each one a small stab to her heart. John had bought that watch with the money he earned as an army veteran, a sign of hard work and loyalty. Now, it seemed, that loyalty had been tested beyond measure. "Mom!" Jake called from the living room, breaking her reverie. "Can we go to the park? Everyone's talking about your big surprise." The plan was to hold a community gathering, a chance to honor John's memory and bring neighbors together. But how could she celebrate when her in-laws had shattered her heart? When Claire learned they had sold the watch to pay for their opulent Caribbean getaway, her world turned upside down. How could they do this to her? "It's just a watch," her sister-in-law had said dismissively when confronted. But it was more than that. It was a lifeline, a connection to John, and a reminder of the love that once held them all together. After John's sudden passing, the grief threatened to consume her. Now this betrayal felt like salt in an already deep wound. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As Claire stepped into the park, a wave of familiarity washed over her. Children played, laughter echoed, and neighbors greeted her with smiles that belied the tension bubbling beneath the surface. She finalized the details of the gathering, pouring her heart into creating a space of love and remembrance for John, but her in-laws were there, tension crackling in the air. Claire felt a knot tighten in her stomach. Would they still pretend that everything was fine? Her heart raced as she mingled, discovering more about their struggles: mounting debts, unpaid medical bills, the fear of losing their home. Each revelation chipped away at her anger. Could they really have felt so desperate? Just then, her father-in-law cornered her. "You think you're better than us, Claire? Selling that watch was the only way to keep the lights on." His voice escalated, drawing the attention of neighbors. Claire felt her temper ignite. "You think selling my husband's memory is keeping the lights on?" She fought tears. "You've robbed me of all I had left of him." The rawness of her voice shocked even her. In that moment, buried truths erupted. They challenged her about her judgment. She lashed out about their betrayal. Tempers flared, voices raised, and the park filled with the echoes of hurt feelings layered over grief. With every word, Claire felt the fractures within the family deepen. Yet amidst the chaos, she found a flicker of hope. As the talk spun out of control, it became clear, the stakes were rising. Would they fight to hold their family together or let the chaos tear them apart? Claire stood on the edge, breathless, and acutely aware: could love and loyalty survive when respect hung in the balance? As the gathering continued, Claire felt a cold certainty wash over her. She had to make a choice soon, one that would profoundly affect the very fabric of their fragile bonds. Would she heal the rift or let the pain sever what little was left? As the chaos swirled around her, Claire took a deep breath, trying to ground herself in the moment. This was supposed to be a celebration of John's life, not a battlefield. But how could she honor him with her heart in pieces? She watched her father-in-law's face, frustration mingling with desperation. It was clear that this was about more than just a watch. It was a clash of values, a fight for survival. She caught sight of Jake playing with the other kids, his laughter ringing clear amid the tension. The sight brought a rush of warmth, a reminder of all that mattered. John would have wanted unity, wouldn't he? She felt a flicker of resolve wash over her. Maybe if she could find a way to turn this around, to bridge the gap, things could change. "Everyone." Claire raised her voice, her heart pounding. "Can we take a moment?" The crowd quieted, the weight of her words hanging in the air. I know we're burdened with grief, and old wounds are opening up. But today is about remembering John. He loved all of us. We can't let anger drive us apart. Her words hung there, raw and vulnerable. She could feel the tension slowly easing, like the first warm light of dawn breaking after a long night. It's true, her sister-in-law, Marissa, said softly, we should focus on the good memories. The family's walls seemed to crack just a little. Claire took a chance, let us share our favorite stories of him. Remember how he would cook his famous chili for anyone who walked through our door. Or how he found every excuse to make us laugh by dressing up in silly costumes for Halloween. Laughter bubbled from the crowd, and for a moment, the weight felt lighter. One by one, they began to share, a flood of memories washing over the park. Claire felt her heart swell as she watched Jake recount a story about his dad teaching him how to ride a bike, the joy glimmering in his eyes. As the laughter erupted and the stories flowed, Claire noticed the in-laws' eyes soften slightly. They, too, reminisced over their own memories of John, adding layers of complexity to their shared grief. Each chuckle seemed to pull them closer, slowly stitching the fabric of their family back together, one shared moment at a time, but just when the mood felt breezy, Claire's father-in-law caught her gaze. I wish things could be been different, he said, his voice cracking slightly. There was a shimmer of regret in his eyes that Claire hadn't expected. Claire felt a wave of compassion. So do I, she replied softly. But maybe it's time we stopped looking back at the choices that hurt us and started finding ways to heal. But while the atmosphere was lifting, the specter of the watch loomed large. Claire couldn't help but wonder, could forgiveness really mend their fractured relationships? Would they be able to rebuild trust after such a betrayal? The laughter faded, and she sensed that they were on the brink of a decision. Would they let the past define them, or find a way to live in harmony, for John's sake? With silence enveloping them, Claire couldn't shake the feeling that this was a turning point. As hope flickered, she realized they were all standing at a crossroads, and the next move would determine whether they would honor John's legacy by healing or by perpetuating the cycles of hurt. But just as she contemplated this breakthrough, unsettling news flickered through her mind. She hadn't even mentioned the plans for his belongings yet. What if the choice to keep or sell everything came back to haunt them again? Claire felt a shiver of dread. Could their fragile moment of connection withstand the revelations yet to come? The change in atmosphere felt electric as Claire's mind raced through the implications of what lay ahead. The watch. His belongings. The very artifacts of John's life that now hovered over them like a dark cloud. She could almost feel it tightening around her throat. Can we discuss the belongings? She managed to voice, her tone wavering. It was met with a multitude of wary gazes, each pair reflecting a kaleidoscope of emotions, defensiveness, confusion, regret. Claire, not now, her father-in-law interrupted, a hint of panic in his voice. Let us just stay on the positive. But the clock was ticking, and Claire couldn't ignore the truth any longer, even if it meant shattering the fragile peace they'd just built. I know. I understand that today is about shining a light on the good parts of John's life. But we can't overlook the practical side of things. There are decisions to be made. The laughter that filled the air seconds ago was now a taut silence. Claire could feel the collective inhale from the family, as if they were all bracing for an impending storm. Are we really going to sweep it all under the rug? Marissa, usually quiet, spoke up with surprising strength. We need to know what is going to happen to his things. They're a part of him, too. Her words resonated with the group, and Claire smiled faintly, grateful for Marissa's courage. It was clear everyone here was grappling with the same weight, a mix of anxiety and hope. I think we should do what John would be wanted, Jake piped up, his small voice rising above the adults. He always said, memories matter more than stuff. The innocence of his statement hung like a lifeline amidst the stormy seas of adult complexities. Exactly, Claire agreed, her heart swelling with pride. Memories dishonored by just selling things off. We need to remember, but we also have to decide how to honor him with what we have left. A ripple of murmurs ran through the crowd, and Claire could see eyes darting, glances exchanged. The tension was palpable. Was anyone ready for what this discussion might reveal about their own intentions? I heard some of you mention selling a few things, Claire continued, gauging reactions. Like his Rolex, it feels wrong to just turn memories into cash. The watch means something to all of us. She could feel the weight of emotion gripping them. Suddenly, she felt bizarrely vulnerable, standing tall while everyone recoiled at her words. We need to talk about this. As she spoke, Claire suppressed a wave of anxiety threatening to spill everything she felt. What if we could use those belongings to give each of you a piece of John, a moment like his cooking tools or maybe the bike he taught Jake on? She could see some faces soften, even among her in-laws, but others clung to old grievances like a protective armor. The silence that pervaded was filled with unspoken fears and unaddressed issues. Her father-in-law, however, looked at her, an unreadable expression etched on his face. And what if we don't see it that way? What if some memories are too heavy to carry, Claire? The implications of his statement hung heavy in the air, a stark reminder of the rift that had grown among them. A reminder that some memories could indeed feel like chains. Before Claire could respond, Jake tugged at her sleeve, wide-eyed. Mom, is it possible to buy that watch back? The question cut through her like a knife, a reminder that to Jake, this was more than just a piece of jewelry, it was a connection to his father that could not be easily severed. Taking a deep breath, Claire realized they were at a critical crossroads. Would they work to preserve the memories or risk losing them forever in a futile disagreement? As she looked around the sea of tentative faces, torn between grief and resolution, she pondered if they could rise above the hurt. Or would this be the moment that finally fractured them into irrevocable pieces? Her heart raced with an urgent realization anyone could leave this park with regrets tucked away in their minds. Or, they could make a choice, together, but would they? The air around Claire thickened, each breath feeling heavier as she scanned the faces of her family. A kaleidoscope of emotions bubbled just beneath the surface. This conversation wasn't just about belongings, it was about memories, connections, and the chasm that had formed since John's passing. The tension was almost palpable, a heavy fog hanging in the air, and Claire felt herself both anchoring and adrift in this storm. Can we just take a step back? Marissa's voice trembled slightly, yet it held firm. We're all hurting, but we can't ignore what's left behind. We wouldn't be honoring John if we don't even talk about it. Claire nodded, grateful for Marissa's bravery. Maybe we need to share stories about what those items mean to each of us. It could help us decide what to do next. Stories? Jake echoed, his eyes wide with curiosity, a spark of life breaking through the heaviness. Like when Dad taught me to ride my bike. Yes, exactly. Claire smiled at him, her heart lifting just a bit. We can talk about the special moments connected to each item. It doesn't have to feel like a burden. Claire shifted her gaze to her father-in-law, the man at the center of the family's sorrow. She hoped he could see the wisdom in this path, but all she found was resignation. It's not just sentimental, Claire. His tone was sharp, the undercurrent of grief making him defensive. Sometimes, the practical side has to win. We need the money. Jake's face fell, his enthusiasm deflated. Claire felt a fresh wave of sorrow rise within her. She didn't want to see her son's spirit crushed by the weight of adult decisions. I understand, she said softly. But what if selling feels more like selling memories instead of honoring them? It's not that simple, her father-in-law replied. What if those things don't mean anything to us? The doubt in his voice hit Claire like a physical blow. But deep down, she knew what John stood for: family, love, laughter. We're not just things, Dad. We're the love we shared. But could she even convince him? The question hung in the air, charged with uncertainty. I want the bike, and his cooking tools, Jake piped up again, a touch of desperation in his voice. I want to remember Dad. To feel him here. Claire felt something crack inside her. Was it hope? Or was it defeat? She glanced around the group, some seemed moved, others indifferent. The fissures in their family dynamics were filled with hidden grievances. Suddenly, Marissa spoke up again, addressing the group with newfound vigor. I think we should all take one item. Something that means something to us. That way, we can each carry a piece of John. A piece of the joy he gave us. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, but Claire noticed a few hesitant faces still lingered, clinging to the shadows of their discomfort. That's a great idea, she said, trying to catch the resistance before it could slip away. This isn't about choosing between money and memories, it's about embracing what we had together. Then she turned to her father-in-law, desperation creeping into her voice. What if we could have a family auction, a way to share these items and the memories together? That could honor John perfectly. Each of us telling our story, making the decision together. There was a flicker of consideration in his eyes, but Claire sensed he still wasn't sold. Nervously, she added, and if we don't want an item, we can donate its value to charity, in John's name. Do something good with it. For a moment, silence fell again, heavy and waiting. Would this be a turning point or a fracture point? Jake tugged on Claire's sleeve again. Mom, what if we did this auction today? Could we do it right now? It was a bold suggestion, a spark of determination igniting her son's spirit, and Claire felt her heart swell. She then dared to add, what if we split the group into pairs to take the time to find the items? Each pair can discuss their choices and make memories just like John would want. The family shifted, the power of her idea rippling through them. For the first time, uncertainty began to give way to hope. But as they began to stir and murmur among themselves, Claire's pulse raced with the weight of what lay ahead. Would they come together for this? Or would everything they worked for slip between their fingers? As she looked at her family, faces illuminated with tentative excitement and the fear of what might come, a thought nagged at the back of her mind. What if some secrets hidden among the belongings could change everything? Claire watched as the conversation shifted, a current of energy spreading among her family members. The idea of an auction had lit a spark, and she felt a mix of hope and anxiety mingle in her chest. Each person rose from their seats, a small flutter of purpose filling the room. Jake danced with excitement at her side while Marissa greeted her with an encouraging nod. Let us do this, Claire whispered under her breath, mainly to herself. She felt a need to gather her courage as they began to break into pairs, ready to unbury not just items but memories that had been buried beneath layers of grief. In a quiet corner of the room, Claire found herself with her mother-in-law, Ruth. The older woman sat on a sofa, knitting needles in hand, but her eyes were far away. Claire had always admired Ruth's strength, though she knew it was stretching thin after losing John. Do you think we're ready for this? Claire asked, hesitantly sitting beside her. Ruth didn't meet her eyes at first. I don't know if anyone can ever be ready to let go, she sighed. But it feels like it's time to start healing. Claire nodded, heart swelling. We'll carry a piece of John with us. After gathering their resolve, the two of them slowly stood and began to sift through the boxes littered around the room. The air thickened with nostalgia. Claire picked up an old baseball glove John's from his childhood. Its leather was worn and soft, a tactile reminder of spirited afternoons spent on the field. Remember how he tried teaching Jake to throw? Claire murmured. Ruth chuckled softly, a sound tinged with loss but filled with warmth. He was so patient. The look on Jake's face when he finally caught the ball, it was worth all those hours. Like he was capturing a little piece of his dad. As Claire held the glove close, she also felt the bitterness of regret, the missed moments, the unspoken words. It terrified her how poignant memories could feel simultaneously healing and painful. Keen to break the tension, she suggested, what if you take something of his too? Something that reminds you of those moments. Ruth hesitated, eyes scanning the boxes until they landed on a small photograph tucked within a dusty frame. It was an image of John, carefree and laughing under a clear blue sky. This, she said finally, her finger brushing the glass. This is what I want. It was taken at our favorite spot, the lake. Claire's heart ached at the raw emotion bubbling in Ruth's voice. She stepped closer and hugged her tightly. We'll keep the memories alive, I promise. As they continued to sort and share, laughter mingled with tears, and the room felt lighter. Each discovery, each story spoke volumes of the love that had filled their lives. Midway through the search, Jake called out from across the room, excitement thrumming in his voice. Mom! Come here. You have to see this. Hurrying over, Claire noticed he was holding a delicate silver watch. It glinted in the light, capturing her attention immediately. Is that? She began. Yeah. It's Dad's Rolex. Jake exclaimed, reverence spilling from his words. You have to help me decide what to do with it. Claire felt a rush of emotion. The watch represented time, the way John had woven himself into every moment of their lives. Let us hold on to it, she suggested, her own heart racing. It could be part of the auction, something everyone remembers him by. Or. Jake's expression shifted, a hint of mischief mingling with excitement. What if we keep it, and later give it to someone special in our family? Like a rite of passage? Claire beamed at her son's idea. That's beautiful, Jake. It honors your dad perfectly. But as she looked back at Ruth, Claire noticed a shadow of concern flash across her mother-in-law's face. Isn't that just keeping the memories close? Ruth asked subtly, her voice almost breaking. Claire hesitated. The weight of what lay beneath the surface was becoming clearer, leaving an unsettling feeling clinging to the air. Ruth, are you okay? Claire asked softly. For a moment, Ruth's silence spoke volumes. I just wonder what other secrets might be hidden among these items. As Claire looked around the room filled with their father's belongings, the air buzzed with anticipation and the thread of uncertainty thickened. What more would they find? What truths were waiting to be uncovered, still tangled with the love they shared? The questions lingered like whispers in the corners of Claire's mind. Would she and her family find peace, or were they on the brink of unearthing something that could shatter it all? Claire's heart raced as she pondered Ruth's words. Secrets. The idea rattled her. Were there things about John that they hadn't known? She looked at the watch, a tangible piece of the man he had been. It shimmered in the light, as if guarding stories waiting to be told. Jake, let us keep looking through these boxes, she urged, sensing that the atmosphere required action. Escape from the lingering questions, if only for a moment. They continued their search, the trio working together, unearthing an old record player. It belonged to John's father, a relic of happier family gatherings filled with music and laughter. The wood was polished but dulled over time, much like the laughter that had faded from their lives. Claire felt a pang of nostalgia. Those summer afternoons spent dancing in the living room while the music spun were etched deeply in her memory. Dad used to always play that one silly song. Jake started, smiling up at her. Oh. The one about the chicken. Claire chuckled, imitating the ridiculous dance they all performed to it. Laughter bubbled in her chest, buoyed by the rush of recollections. Suddenly, Ruth called from the corner. Claire, come here. I found something. The urgency in her mother-in-law's voice sent a shiver down Claire's spine. When she reached Ruth's side, she found her holding a box with intricate carvings. It looked old, much older than anything they had opened so far. What do you think is in there? Claire whispered, her breath hitching in anticipation. Only one way to find out, Ruth replied, her voice steady although Claire could see the tremor in her hands. With a deep breath, Ruth lifted the lid, revealing its contents. Inside lay a collection of journals, their leather bindings cracked with age. John's journals. Claire mused aloud. I never knew he had these. Ruth's fingers lightly traced the spines as if afraid to disturb the memories woven within. He wrote a lot when he was in college. I think he might have kept his thoughts in here all these years. We should read them, Jake said, hope flickering in his eyes. Maybe we can learn more about Dad. Claire hesitated, a knot forming in her throat. Did she really want to delve into John's private thoughts? Would something hidden beneath the lines unravel the peaceful memories they fought to keep? Ruth seemed to sense Claire's hesitation. Some things are meant to be shared, she said gently. But it's your choice. Claire nodded, wrestling with her emotions. Let us take them to the table. If we read just a little. But before they could proceed, a voice rang out from the doorway. What are you all doing in here? Everyone turned to see Marissa standing there, eyes wide with curiosity. We found John's journals, Claire said, inviting her in. Oh wow! Marissa exclaimed, rushing over. Can I look? Just then, the atmosphere shifted again. Ruth's expression tightened, her fingers nervously clutching her knitting. Maybe we should keep these private for now. Why? What's in there that you're worried about? Claire pressed, a mix of dread and curiosity surfacing. Marissa leaned in closer to the box. Maybe there are things we don't know that could help us feel closer to him. The air stood still, each of them holding their breath, the weight of unspoken fears suffocating. Claire felt her heart thump loudly in her chest. What could be in those journals? Let us not rush into this, Ruth said finally, her voice steadier than before. We can decide what we want to do with them later. As the tension hung like a storm cloud, Claire caught her breath. She wanted answers but feared what they might reveal. Did her family truly know John, or was this just a facade? Let us take a break for now, Claire suggested. Maybe we can talk about the auction some more. With uneasy nods, they backed away from the box for the moment, but the weight of truth loomed larger than ever. As they moved away from the journals, Claire felt an impending sense of revelation whisper in the back of her mind. What secrets did those pages hold, and would they bring closure, or an entirely new layer of grief? The day was far from over, and as Claire looked at the faces around her, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were just at the beginning of a deeper journey into John's world, one they might not be prepared for. Claire gathered her thoughts, the journals still looming in the back of her mind. Could it be that John had written about his life in ways she had never imagined? Perhaps those pages held a glimpse into the man he was before they shared their lives together. As they shifted their focus from the past to the upcoming auction, Claire struggled to remain present. The lively banter about the estate sale felt distant compared to the weight of the secrets those journals might unveil. There was an urgency to pull away from the unearthed memories, yet they tugged at her more fiercely. So, what do you think we should keep for the auction? Jake asked, glancing around the room. His youthful energy injected some life into the suffocating atmosphere. I think the record player would be cool to display. Claire forced a smile, grateful for Jake's ability to lighten the mood. Yeah, definitely. And maybe some of his tools. He always fixed things around the house, making it a home. Ruth nodded, trying to recalibrate her own emotions as well. I think keeping a few photos would be nice too, especially those from family gatherings. She paused, her fingers fidgeting with the yarn in her lap. Those memories are important, even when they make our hearts ache. Claire studied Ruth's face. The lines of sorrow were a familiar sight, a shared understanding that only grief could forge. They are, she agreed softly, hoping to navigate this tricky emotional landscape with care. They resumed digging through the boxes, revealing more artifacts of John's life. Each item came with its own story, and as they discussed what to keep, Claire's mind danced back to the journals. Maybe after the auction, we could, she started tentatively but hesitated, unsure how to voice the swell of emotions brewing inside her. What is it, Claire? Ruth asked, sensing her conflict. What if we read the journals together? Claire finally admitted, her heart racing. I mean, after everything settles down, I think I need to know. We all need to know. Marissa leaned in, suddenly serious. I think that might be a good idea too. What if there are things there that could help us understand him better? I want to know my dad more than just a few memories. But what if they're painful? Ruth interjected, her voice thick with concern. What if they change how you see him, how we all see him? Silence fell over the room, the weight of possibility heavy. Images of the man John had been, both familiar and foreign, swirled in Claire's mind. Could she really face the truth? I think we need to be brave, Claire said slowly, her conviction strengthening. Life's too short for shadows in our memories. If he wrote anything that helps us truly know him, then we owe it to ourselves to find out. Ruth sighed, finally nodding, her concern replaced by a sense of cautious acceptance. Then we'll read them together. Whatever is in them, we'll face it as a family. Excitement surging, Jake clapped his hands. Okay. Let us get through the auction first and then do the thing. You know, Project Journal, if you will. The lightness broke the heaviness, and laughter erupted again. It felt good, almost liberating. Claire could almost breathe fully now. But as they began to settle into plans for the auction, a chime rang from Claire's phone. A message blinked on the screen, pulling her attention swiftly. It was from an unknown number. Did you know about the Rolex sold at the auction? Her heart plummeted. The questions rushed in like a tide. What Rolex? Why was someone asking about it? Did it mean more than just an item? What's wrong? Jake asked, peering over Claire's shoulder at her phone. Claire felt the world shift. The surface of her emotions turned turbulent again. I don't know, but I think we need to find out. With their plans suddenly overshadowed by uncertainty, Claire realized they were not just searching through boxes anymore. They were unraveling John's legacy piece by piece, and the truth seemed closer yet more elusive than ever. What had been sold? And what other secrets lay intertwined within John's untold stories? Claire's heart raced as she stared at her phone, replaying the message in her mind. She could feel the room closing in, the laughter and chatter fading into a distant hum. What did the Rolex signify? Why was it important enough for someone, a stranger, to message her about it? Who even texted you? Marissa asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. She glanced at Jake, who was still hovering nearby, a mixture of annoyance and worry painting his youthful face. I don't know. The number isn't familiar, Claire stammered, her finger hovering over the screen. What if this was a prank? Or something worse? Did Dad really own a Rolex? Jake asked, scratching his head. I mean, I thought he liked keeping things simple. Ruth frowned, her brow furrowed. I've never seen him wear a Rolex. But it's possible he had it before we met him. He had a life before us, after all. The air seemed charged with a new tension as they grasped the implications. What else had gone unnoticed in John's past? How well did they really know him? Claire took a deep breath, trying to gather her thoughts. I think we need to look into this. If he had a Rolex, there could be other things that went unnoticed. Things he might have hidden about himself. Things we deserve to understand. But how do we even find out? Marissa asked, brow raised. Would we call the auction house? Maybe they have more information. Yes, Claire said, a flicker of determination igniting within her. We should. They might be able to tell us who sold it, or at least what it was sold for. Jake was already pulling out his phone. I can look up the auction house. Maybe it's listed online. Claire felt a rush of adrenaline. The thought of digging deeper, of unveiling layers of John she had yet to touch, propelled her forward. The auctions were days away, leaving them little time to investigate, but the urgency felt alive within her. Let us not forget about the journals, Ruth reminded them gently. We can read those too, remember? Yes, but this feels like something tied to him too, Claire replied, trying to keep her excitement in check. What if all the pieces connect? We need to stay focused, Marissa said. First, we gather the facts. If we dig into this, we might find something unexpected. Just let us be prepared for whatever it is. The conversation swirled, as they began to brainstorm next steps. Each person bounced ideas around the room, tension overshadowed by bursts of resolve. Yet an undercurrent of apprehension lingered. Claire grabbed the journals again, holding them tightly as if they could provide some comfort. I think we'll find something illuminating in both the auction and the journals. They might tell us more than just what John left behind. The group quieted, each lost in their thoughts. The heavy silence that settled was a stark contrast to the buzz they had created moments earlier. Claire could feel the weight of it, heavy on her chest as she looked at them all, her family, bound by the same thread of uncertainty. A fleeting thought crossed her mind: what if this all leads to a truth they weren't prepared to face? Suddenly, Jake's phone chimed. I got the auction house's information, he exclaimed, eyes bright. We can call them right now. As excitement began to build again, Claire felt a swell of hope. But still, a nagging worry echoed in her mind. What if the truth shattered their memories or changed everything they believed to be real? They gathered around as Jake dialed the number, the tension palpable. The sound of ringing filled the room. Claire couldn't help but wonder what they were about to uncover, and just as the call connected, a thought struck her. Was this Rolex truly a simple watch, or could it open a door to deeper secrets, ones that would forever alter their perception of John? As she listened intently, a sense of dread crept in alongside the determination. What awaited them on the other end of the line? The voice on the other end of the line was crisp and businesslike. Thank you for calling East Coast Auctions. How may I assist you today? Jake, eyes wide with anticipation, glanced around at his family. Despite his nerves, he took a deep breath. Hi. My name is Jake, and I'm calling regarding a Rolex that was recently sold at your auction house. Can you provide the details? The lot number or the date of the auction would be helpful, the voice replied, steady and unmoving. Jake fumbled through a few notes on his phone. I don't have the lot number, but the auction was, last week. It's a watch that belonged to my father. Claire leaned closer, her heart racing again. Every beat echoed with questions. What had John held on to in his life? What did this watch mean for them? Let me check our records, the auction house representative said, typing something for just a moment. The delay felt eternal. Claire's mind buzzed. Did her dad hide meaningful parts of his life? Bits of him they'd never known. Finally, the voice returned. Yes, I've found the listing. The Rolex was sold last Thursday. It was quite an exquisite piece, noted for its rare model. Claire held her breath. What can you tell us about the sale? It fetched a considerable price, $15,000, the voice continued. A collector purchased it. We had multiple bids. The previous owner would have had to possess documentation to prove authenticity. Marissa whispered, 15 grand. That's insane. Do you have the name of the buyer? Jake asked, excitement bubbling beneath his apprehension. I'm afraid I cannot disclose that information for confidentiality reasons, the representative answered, a hint of finality in the tone. However, if you possess the original documentation of the sale, I'd be happy to connect you with the buyer. Claire's fists tightened around the journals. Documentation? She echoed. What do you mean? Any papers regarding the watch, say, a certificate of authenticity, could link you directly to its history. Without that, we won't be able to assist further. Great, she muttered, frustrated. I don't remember Dad ever keeping anything like that. Thank you for your time, Jake said, trying to maintain control in this unraveling moment. He ended the call, and the room hung heavy with disbelief. What now? Marissa asked, crossing her arms tightly. We have to find those documents, Claire said, trying to maintain her composure. If he had a Rolex, he must have known how to safeguard its value. If there's paperwork and the journals, she felt a jolt of determination. What if he wrote about it? Ruth's eyes softened. He might have, Claire. But we need to keep in mind that he could have had reasons for keeping things private. Jake nodded, still a bit dazed. But why would he sell it if it meant something to him? Claire felt a subtle dull ache in her chest. Or he sold it to provide for us, or to deal with something he never mentioned. The weight of possibility pressed down, heavy and uncomfortable. They moved towards the stacks of journals, each page a potential key to understanding their father, the man behind the mystery. As Claire flipped through the pages, the familiar scent of paper clung to her. Memories washed over her, his laughter, warmth, advice. But what if the truth wasn't he as they had always known it? Just watch for anything about luxury items or moments he felt were too extravagant, she instructed, and they diligently fanned through the pages, their fingers trembling with the tension of searching for something meaningful amidst the mundane. Then, in the corner of a faded page, she spotted something even more interesting: handwritten notes about a trip, locations that sounded grand and foreign, blending together like a distant dream. "Guys, look at this!" Claire called out, the thrill of discovery racing through her veins. As they leaned in closer, a realization struck her: was the watch tied to the adventures of their father's past? Or was it a key to a hidden life she never imagined? "Do you think it was to fund this trip?" Marissa murmured, eyes wide with intrigue. Before Claire could respond, the room was interrupted by a knock at the door, startling everyone. "Who could that be?" Jake asked, worry creasing his brow. Claire's heart raced again. Had they really opened a Pandora's box with just a phone call? What awaited them? Answers, revelations, or something far more ominous? With a trembling hand, she moved toward the door, hoping for clarity but bracing for the unknown. Claire opened the door, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. There, standing on the porch, was a tall figure silhouetted against the fading sunlight. As she stepped back, the figure moved into the light, revealing a familiar face: an old friend of John's, Tony. "Hey, Claire," Tony said, genuine warmth in his eyes. "I heard about the gathering, and I wanted to come by. I thought I'd bring some of John's South things from my place." Claire felt an unexpected rush of relief mixed with curiosity. "Things?" she echoed softly, trying to catch up with the emotions swirling inside her. "Yeah," Tony continued, stepping inside. "He had left some of his stuff with me before, you know." His voice trailed off, and Claire felt a pang of sympathy. Tony had been one of John's closest friends, and she could see the sorrow etched on his face. "Thank you for being here," Claire said, her voice thick with emotion. "It means a lot." She stepped aside, allowing him to enter, her focus already shifting to the past they were unearthing together. As Tony settled on the couch, he pulled out a worn duffel bag. "I just thought maybe there were memories here you'd want," he began, unzipping it carefully. Inside, Claire spotted a few framed photographs, John's old army jacket, and some sports memorabilia. But beside these items, Tony hesitated, his hands trembling a bit. "There's something else here too. I've been holding on to this for a while." He pulled out a small box, its edges worn but still intact. Claire's breath caught in her throat. It felt like a moment suspended in time. This could be something all-encompassing, perhaps a key to understanding John better. "What's in there?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Something John always wanted to tell you, but I don't think he got the chance. He asked me to keep it for him for when the time was right." Claire stared at the box, anticipation building inside her like a coiled spring. "Can we open it?" Tony nodded, and together they shared the moment as he unlatched the box. The contents glinted in the soft light, revealing a stack of letters tied together with a faded ribbon. Claire's heart raced. Letters? Had John written messages he'd never shared? Tony carefully handed her the bundle, and Claire felt like she was holding a piece of her husband's soul. "John wrote you letters throughout your marriage. He would jot down thoughts he wished he could express in person," Tony explained. A tear slipped down Claire's cheek as she opened the top envelope. "I never knew he did this," she said softly, feeling a warmth spread through her. "It was his way of keeping you close, even when he was away," Tony added, his voice laden with reverie. Claire read the first letter, and her heart swelled. He talked about you, Jake, the dreams he had for our family, even about his Rolex, she murmured, glancing up at Tony with a mix of shock and gratitude. He said it was a reminder of every promise he made to us. Exactly, Tony said, emotion thick in his voice. That watch represented everything he worked for, but it was never just about the luxury. It was about the journey he wanted to create for you all. As Claire read on, she felt each letter wrapping around her heart like an embrace, a connection she thought lost now surfacing anew. The promise of healing, just within reach. I wish I knew all this sooner, she said, her voice cracking. There's no right time, Claire. You have to honor John, but also remember it's okay to feel the pain while celebrating the love, Tony replied gently, a knowing look in his eyes. As they continued through the letters, the past began to unfold before her. Memories rushed back to life, and Claire found herself stripped bare of anger and fear. Instead, love poured forth, spilling over the edges of her constructed walls. Tony added, this legacy is about sharing love as much as it is about keeping it. Let us not just focus on the past but build a future together. At that moment, everything shifted. Claire understood the depth of what it meant to truly honor John. He had given them pieces of himself through the watch. The letters, and now the memories they were about to share as a family. With newfound clarity, Claire looked up at everyone gathered, her heart full of hope. We're going to auction things, but let us also keep pieces that remind us of John, stories we can share. Jake smiled brightly. Like the jacket. He always wore it when he grilled. Marissa spoke up, and the records. We can keep those for game nights. Claire watched as the tension eased, laughter replacing the heaviness, and even Ruth began to smile through her tears. But deep down, one question lingered: how would these letters change everything? Would they pave the way for healing, or unveil secrets that could tear them apart? Yet, in this moment, Claire chose to embrace the warmth. She felt sure that whatever truth unfolded, they would confront it together, sharing and honoring John as one united family. As the night wore on, laughter echoed through the house. Claire shared snippets from the letters, and the weight they felt began to lift. They were stitching their family back together with each word spoken. In the glow of hope and heart, they found a new path to walk together. And with that honesty in the open air, Claire felt the truth settle gently within her. This could be a beginning, a celebration of John's life, a healing for her heart, and a journey toward warmth she had believed lost. As the night faded into dawn, hope blossomed, and Claire's heart yearned for this connection they were reclaiming. They were stronger together, propelled forward by love, honoring the man who brought them all together. If you felt the powerful transformation in Claire and her family, you need to subscribe now. Don't miss the next journey as souls heal and family ties strengthen. Be part of our story. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm, comment your thoughts and feelings about this heartfelt ending. And don't wait, share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this emotional transformation. Your support means the world.